Slope formula. So the slope formula is very important, but it's also fairly straightforward. Okay, slope is the change in y over the change in x. Okay, and you're looking for to find out the change in y over the change in x. You're going to be choosing 2 points, okay, and subtracting the y value from one of the points. We'll call this one 0.2 and this one 0.1. Okay, you're going to subtract the y value from one of these points from the y value of another point, and then you're going to put that over the x value of the same point and subtract that by the x value of the other point. So it's very important that your values, that you subtract them in the same order. Okay, if I set this up and I subtract my y value from 0.2 from my y value from 0.1, and then I subtract my x value from 0.1 from my x value of 0.2, I'm going to end up with a different slope. Okay, my slope is actually going to be opposite. Okay, so concept 1, finding slope using the slope formula. In the last video we looked at finding the slope by counting. So we had our graph and we just kind of counted up. I talked a little bit about using the slope formula as well. So all you're going to be doing is sticking them in that formula and doing the subtraction. Okay, so the first step, your first job is to choose what you want to be 0.1 and 0.2, and I think it's really important to label them. Okay, I'm actually going to add that, so make sure this is in your notes. Choose and label. Okay, choose and label a point to be 0.1 and 0.2. All right, it doesn't matter too much, but generally I like to have, if I have negatives in one of my points and positives in the other, okay, I generally like to have my negatives be 0.1 and my positives be 0.2. Okay, and then you're going to input your values into the slope formula, and that is, oops, I already made a mistake. That is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, funky x. Okay, and you'll see the reason why I say your 0.1 should have any negatives in it is because when you go in and you substitute values, all right, and let's do that now. So 0.2, my y2 is going to be 5 minus, I'm going to put my parentheses, and this is the most common mistake. Okay, a lot of times students, especially if they don't use the parentheses, will come through and they'll say 5 minus, oh, and I got a negative 3, there's my 5 minus 3, and I'm done, when really it should be 5 minus a negative 3. Okay, that's where having the parentheses can help. And then come through with your x values. You're still starting with 0.2. X value for 0.2 is 7, minus a positive 1. So you can have parentheses here if you want or not, because it's positive, it shouldn't matter. When I'm subtracting a negative, that turns into a positive. So I would have 5 plus 3, or 8, over 7 minus 1, or 6. And then you're going to simplify. 8 over 6 simplifies to 4/3. And I prefer slope to be kept in this form. Okay, with a fraction, even if it's improper, in fraction form. Because if I'm going through and I'm trying to graph this, and I only have one point, okay, on my coordinate plane, I can say, okay, I'm going to go up 4. My change in y is going to be a positive 4. Okay, and my change in x is going to be 3. And that's how I can place my second point.